south of vehicle at Jefferson Central in the year unit, keep it on Newton Hollaback, frequency 39, 43 is following code 37, vehicle 3 George, 93308, 1335 in the
Good evening, obsessors, oppressors, and possessors, and thank you for joining us. It is your humble, handsome, Haggerty host, Alec McCann, and with me as always,
Julia.
Can you see? And then we also have Lord Sidious. Thank you for joining us here on Ghosted in West Virginia. Now, with us today is a special guest. Normally, we don't do guests. Unless it's another podcast that, wants to listen to our ridiculous stories. But last year, was it last year? I think it was last year in October, we had author Alma Katsu come on to listen to a ridiculous ghost story, and it was quite fun. This year, I feel like we have upped our game just a bit because we've got a brand new author who has set a book in our local mountains, not these local mountains that are here in West Virginia, but in Kentucky, which is still the mountain range because apparently they just keep going and not changing their names. So, author Allison Gunn. Give it up. Yes,
First
go
of
ahead,
all,
clap for yourself.
No, I was like, that's the children's librarian and me being like, yay, everyone, we finished a book. But yeah, no, I mean, honestly, you are part of the same mountain range, that not just like the Appalachian mountain range, but also the Blue Ridge, I think also comes through where you're at. And the book is set in southwestern Virginia, like near Roanoke. So it is the same one. We're dealing with the same little creatures running around. So,
well, I just meant like not Wardensville Mountains.
No, it's not in your precise town. No,
I can't tell you how many.
Do that on the next one.
I can't tell you how many times while Julia's reading it, she turns and says, "I think she's from here."
Yes.
And I was like, I don't know. I couldn't.
I mean, not from Wardensville, but yeah.
No, she was sure. She was like, she's got to be from Hardy County. These things are here. All of this, and it wasn't. It was the drugs. That's what was great. It was the meth that said she's from here. She knows people.
Literally, as I started this podcast, so I'm a graduate student at Shepherd University. I also teach there right now, but like I'm part of the Appalachian Studies program. And I'm currently taking a rural criminology class. So literally right before I jumped on here, I was writing about some very sad things regarding opioids. So it is so funny that is like what you brought up. It's like, oh yeah, no, that's what every Appalachian knows.
And people that listen to this, they're from here. They know what it is. We like to say it's Mayberry, but it's Mayberry because no cops want to deal with the crazy people running around. I saw ghosts in my nostril yesterday. Nobody wants that.
They're just like, okay,
yep.
I saw them too.
Yep. As long as you ain't burning down the forest, you're good.
That's
Don't
right.
let your lab blow up.
Exactly. You do you, boo. But no, I mean, my goodness, being on here and like following in the wake of Alma Katsu, my God, like just that blows me away. I cannot believe that y'all had her on the podcast, and then here comes little old me. So
Well,
very
don't
cool.
sell yourself. The reason I said that it's a slight up is because Alma Katsu is an established author. That's a big deal. You have just released your first. This is your first book, correct?
Yes, Nowhere is the first published. Correct.
First published book.
It's a fine differentiation, but yes.
Well, it is, because this is the one that, not to say that your others wouldn't get people to take notice, but this is the one that they were like, people will take notice of this.
Yes.
And I know that's a big deal. So,
yeah, I'm very proud of it. Nowhere was my baby.
And do you have like an inclination of, because a lot of stories start with, you hear about like J.R. Tolkien, his Hobbit story started while he was grading papers, and then Lord of the Rings was started so that he could explain the things he had talked about in the Hobbit. What was your Hobbit in the hole in the ground?
So, I mean, I think the origins of Nowhere actually stretch like way, way far back. I mean, I've talked about how, I've been influenced as like a pastor's kid with some of this stuff, the feeling of being an outsider. But if we're talking paranormal wise, I'd say like, number one, my mom was absolutely obsessed with the legends related to the Roanoke colonies, or Roanoke colony, the original one. And so I don't want to
actually have an episode on that, don't we?
I think so, yeah.
Awesome. Like, it's a very cool legend, even if we kind of know what happened now.
I think we did it for Thanksgiving is why we did it.
Neat. Okay. Yeah. So, my mother's family is from North Carolina originally, and then migrated up into like the Norfolk area of Virginia. And that was something they like constantly talked about. Of course, that's outside of Appalachia, but that was a story I grew up with constantly. And so without giving away too much of the book, the sort of like bleak beginning, the disappearance aspect, like that very much came from Roanoke colony folklore and legend. And then a lot of the rest of it is based off of, well, I'm comfortable saying it, like you walked out of the room for a part of the discussion we had beforehand, but it's based off of a lot of Fae lore, which came over with a lot of the Irish, Celtic, British settlers that moved over into Appalachia for mining purposes, especially like lower class. So yeah, I mean, I was very intrigued by those stories, and those really stuck with me as a kid. Like they messed with my head a little bit, and then later I had some experiences that were very weird that aligned with some of that. So I think it was an amalgamation of experiences, both practical, including like the marriage I was in at the time, and then also things that like just generally weirded me out. There's also an element of religiosity included, because I grew up in a form of Christianity that very much focused on the end times and people disappearing and people encountering sort of end game, So yeah, I think it comes from multiple different places, but the creepiness of Appalachia, most definitely, especially as I was a kiddo. Goodness. Looking into the woods and being like, what's out there? Oh, what's going on? Yeah, that was a huge factor.
Do you, well, hold on. You got anything you want to ask her?
I don't think so.
You just asked your spoiler question. You had that one question.
My spoiler question.
She said, I need to know if I'm right. Did you have different incarnations of this, or was this was just the story?
Well, okay, so with a lot of stories, they start as one thing and then over time kind of clarify. they get layers and layers and layers, and then you kind of chip away at that and figure out what the actual story is. So if I had to point to the very earliest like hint, like sort of the twinkle in the eye of what Nowhere is, I would probably go all the way back to me being like 13 or 14. And I had an idea for a story that was related to, it was like a historical horror that related to Celtic folklore, like folks living in Ireland or the British Isles, something like that, and relating to the plagues of Egypt and kind of like that resulting in the end times. But of course, as time went on, by the time I actually ended up putting pen to paper, so to speak, or fingers to keyboard, it had evolved into something that was much, much different and more modernized and concise. But like, it really did spawn from something way earlier than that, if I look back through, sort of the pensieve of my life.
Well, that's actually quite... So at 13, because the way you described all that was things that shouldn't connect, but do connect, and it all... Like, it sounded very accidental Lovecraftian to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oops, I've made a Lovecraftian story by accident using things that he wouldn't use. Like, he wouldn't be like, oh, let me throw some fairies in. You know?
Yeah.
He also probably wouldn't be quite as diverse, considering he was very racist. But
he certainly was, yes.
Wrote some great stories. And I don't know that his racism really hurt anyone because he was kind of secluded in his apartment.
I mean, there's that. Yeah. He's also dead, so that's helpful.
Yes, that's also helpful. So you can, and really, it's the concepts of his stories that are fun. His actual writing is kind of boring.
Yeah.
Oof. Other people, it's one of those situations where other people have written his stories better.
I think we've certainly taken the concepts and like definitely ran with it and expanded upon it and made it more meaningful than I think Lovecraft ever could have imagined.
Probably so. He didn't have a great imagination. His whole thing was tentacles. I'm real scared of octopi.
Right.
Everything's going to be made of tentacles. He would be just wetting his ninnies if he knew about the hentai that was out there. He'd be like, oh my goodness, what are you doing with those things?
There are many things I think Lovecraft would be like, whoa.
Yes, he'd be like, whoa, hold on.
But he knew. He knew where all the tentacles lead.
So with this kind of thing, and considering where you have placed the book, even from what I've read, it feels very like small town kind of area. Did you, speaking of Lovecraft, did you feel that certain prejudices that I know exist here had to be represented, or was it one of those things where can they just assume that that's there? Like,
yeah,
because you have to have some sort of not only character development for the character, but also for the environment that she's in. And I imagine if the town is Appalachian, it's Kentucky, and it's anything like around here, as Julia thought it was, there are some things that you're like, oh, okay, you're actually okay with this when typically you wouldn't be. You know what I'm trying to be as diplomatic as I can.
No, you're talking about queerness largely. So, yes, it definitely was a purposeful move on my part. I'll say purposeful in terms of while I was working through the story, it definitely came to the forefront because as a pastor's kid in Appalachia, a fundamentalist pastor's kid in Appalachia, that was not something that was ever acceptable. Like, you were on a one-way train to hell. And so I lost a lot of sleep over time. It was something that I like absolutely just, oh my God, obliterated myself over. It was very troubling to me that I was queer. And I felt like that was worthwhile to bring into the forefront. But I also felt like it was worthwhile to balance out that that's not what everybody is about. So as you go through Nowhere, like, you have the very religious community, which is super prominent because it's a larger facet of a community within this tiny dot of a town. However, there are plenty of people, including, Rachel's kind of sidekick and some of their friends within the community that don't care. They don't care at all. They don't give a crap. But for many people, like the majority of people, it is an uncomfortable issue that they'll kind of dance around. And I grew up with that a lot. It was like, in some instances, like, don't ask, don't tell. Or if it was known around the community and that person wasn't attending the churches that we were a part of, like, you just kind of ignored it. You know what I mean? You didn't necessarily address it. And I think that comes through in Nowhere, where it's like, nobody specifically attacks Rachel. I'm trying not to give spoilers. Nobody specifically attacks Rachel because she is queer, or Charlie, because there's a lot about Charlie that mirrors that, and she does, start to struggle with her own sexuality. However, like, there's always that undertone of, there is something different about you. Maybe we don't talk about it. Maybe we ignore it. We push it to the side. But when you come to, like, the fire breathers of the church, such as Pastor Paul, like, yeah, no, that's going to be a major issue. I just really felt strongly about making sure that people understood. I think this is something people, like, interpret about Appalachia anyways, for better or worse, that there are segments of the population that are very much against homosexuality. And then you have people who are like, it's don't ask, don't tell. And then you have people who are like, I don't care. I wanted to represent that full sort of range. But for me, growing up with the religiosity and whatnot as a pastor's kid, it was definitely something that was needed to come out, needed to be aired with everyone.
Well, that's, a lot more detailed than I thought I was going to get. Not bad. I just meant, like, I didn't expect, because I haven't gotten that far in.
I know, I'm so scared of giving you spoilers.
No. Listen, you're not going to spoil anything. I'm reading it for the creatures. No offense. I'm sure you've done a great job developing the characters, and I'm sure I will enjoy the characters. I've already enjoyed, I want to say his name's Jeff, but I don't think that's it. The dude that she brings out with her partner? Jeremy. I think he's quite funny.
He gets
I enjoy
better,
him.
honestly.
I enjoy him. I enjoy the way he reacts to AJ's whole thing, and the fact that he's like, yeah, I'm sure there's a real bad thing out there. And he strikes me as like a more crass, I'm going to sound real nerdy, I love you, a real crass Spider-Man type character. It's kind of like, I'm not going to take it seriously, but when I need to, I will, that kind of deal.
Yeah.
And
I think he is also very Appalachian, right? Where it's like, we know this this stuff exists. But no, I mean, we deal with this all the time. We're not going to view this as anything different. It is interesting looking at, like, the difference between how Appalachians proper, like people who were born or raised or currently live here that aren't in the Eastern Panhandle, that's different.
Right.
People who were born or raised in Appalachia tend to view the characters a lot differently than folks who comment on it who are not from here. So it doesn't surprise me you'd look at the character of Jeremy and be like, I know that dude.
Oh, yeah. What really struck me, and we'll get to ghost stories here in a second, ladies and gentlemen, but what really struck me was, and I hope this doesn't, I don't know what I just dropped.
My hair took
I
the
dropped
picture down.
our bat. I don't know.
Children is being ready to be picked up.
Okay, well, tell them.
Well, I just wanted you to know that's why I'm on my phone.
Oh.
I got a parent text.
But is it Michael? Okay. One of the things that I'm not even sure, because I'm not far enough into the book to know if he's son. I love you. You have got to stop. I love you. Why don't we go turn on the TV and you can? Are you sure? Because I have everything.
Well, luckily, I think my parents are ready for him as well.
Oh.
If one of the children would come get
There
him.
we go. Look at that. And I haven't.
About to go on a little adventure with Grandma and Grandpa.
Right?
Yes, it's and so I haven't gotten far enough into the book to. I have a sense that he's not a great person, but there is a piece of Finn that I relate to, and the piece is he's in this small town that he's not from, and he moved there for the woman. And I don't mean like he moved there for the woman. I just mean like
He did.
He moved there to be with the woman, and I identified with that because I'm from Martinsburg, and I moved up here to marry her, and I haven't left. And so there's things that Finn says, like nobody looks at me right, like I'm not from here, that kind of thing.
I mean, that kind of brings into relief what I was just talking about like the rest of West Virginia doesn't really view the Eastern Panhandle as part of West Virginia anymore, especially because we've had such an influx of very wealthy folk coming in,
right?
Especially like DC expats. I had no idea you were from Martinsburg. You were like a neighbor.
Yeah, I walked the streets because I never got my license because I didn't see any reason. Everything I needed to do was 5 minutes away from my feet.
Yeah. Well, hello, former neighbor.
Hello. Oh goodness, Oliver, stop it, honey.
He's okay.
Well, no, he's. I think he's making her hot. It's very warm up here. It's like 82 degrees.
It's in the 80s, and we haven't put our AC units in yet. And I'm just like,
well, ours is covered by a couch, so we're.
Oh gosh.
He's probably making her a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Which I know is
I was gonna put pants on him because I want one of these children to come get him.
Oh.
But he won't let me move.
Do you think we could pause this right quick?
Absolutely. Yeah. Not a problem.
I'm not 100% sure. Pause. There we go. All right. So we've talked about the book. I've identified myself as a drunk driver, killer of children, and said that I've done great identification to that character. I thought about it as I was coming back. I was like, did I literally say that? If anybody reads that, they're going to be like, you identify with the guy that is struggling with having done this thing? Yeah, sure. I can see it. He made a mistake.
Okay, so this is kind of the thing that like really blows my mind is that a lot of times when I'm looking at reviews, even positive, beautiful reviews, or talking with people at events or whatever, they're like, I love to hate your characters. And that's fine, like if you do, but for me, like, I'm like, I know these people. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Obviously not specifically Rachel and Fenn, but like, it's one of those things where I'm like, well, they're human. You know what I mean? And sometimes they make small mistakes, and sometimes they make big, massive, horrible mistakes. And it's
in
wrestling.
A small town.
Right, in a small town, exactly. And it's like, well, is there redemption for someone like Fenn, who, I don't think this is like a spoiler because it's right in the beginning, who drives drunk and gets into an accident, and his son ends up passing away as a result of that. Like, is there redemption for that kind of person? And honestly, like, the scary part with Finn is how close are you to being that person? You know what I mean? I
mean, it was like she knows me.
No,
except I don't drink. I don't do that, but I also don't have a license, so it is also a bad idea for me to get behind a license.
Yeah, that's a double whammy. Yeah,
yeah, that'd be like, all right, kid, let's go to the store.
Yeah.
He didn't even have a license.
Yeah, like
was he drunk? He was just dumb.
Oh no. Yeah, no, but it doesn't.
He was just dumb.
It doesn't surprise me at all that somebody would be like, no, I relate with Finn. It kind of shocks me. Well, it took a while to adjust to the fact that people are so harsh on Rachel, where it's like, I accidentally have upset a lot of people at events where they'll ask things like, why is Rachel so horrible? Like, why is she, committing adultery and cheating on Finn and all this stuff? And it's like, you explain and break down, like, okay, well, she just suffered this massive loss. She's closeted. She's angry as hell at the individual she's married to because he was trashed and then killed their son. Like, some people lash out in ways that are uncomfortable. Like, not all of us are able to just, like,
her. She's letting him live in the basement. Like,
right.
I'm sorry. If one of us killed our kid, I don't think we'd still be here. I think one of us would be gone.
Yeah.
It's all about,
I immediately was
brass tack survival here.
Yeah. In my head, every time he's like, I wish she would talk to me, or he gets snippy with her. That one time he's like, I believe that was our mistake, Rachel. And I was like, dude, shut up. You killed your kid.
Right.
Like, I don't think you get to have an opinion.
You didn't do it.
Yeah, she's dealing with having you living in her basement, knowing what you did, and you come up, oh, let me make you some coffee. Yeah, that'll bring back your kid. Sorry, the people that are harsh, I haven't gotten that far in, but I'm gonna say, people were harsh to Raymond's wife on Everybody Loves Raymond, and she was actually horrible. She had no reason. So,
one
Rachel
thing is, like, women in horror are, both the authors and the characters are really limited to very particular boxes. That's extremely frustrating. Like, especially if you're a mother, particularly a character that's a mother, you're only allowed to operate within certain spaces without people lashing out and being like, oh, well, that's a horrible person. And I don't even think they necessarily do it consciously, but, like, it definitely comes through where it's like, well, she's a mother. Why wouldn't she react in this way or that way? And it's like, have you ever been in a situation where you go into survival mode and, like, no, you're not at your best. No, you're not who you would want to be. Yeah, you're making decisions that are, like, less than great, but, like, humans, right. Horror should deal with, like, the horrors of existence, in my opinion. But what
there was one thing, and I want this will lead into you're gonna tell us some scary stories that no one else has heard.
That's true. Yeah, I'm excited.
That have happened to you, correct?
Yeah.
So in that vein, you said that there was a unique perspective, and you mentioned Rachel having her affair in the story. There's another book Julia introduced me to called Incidents in the House. And it's
Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman is like one of the books in the past 5 years.
Yes.
I love that
Everyone
book.
should read it. Yeah.
And this story it took me a second to get used to the way it was written. And then you read about the mother, and you did something that book didn't do, which was, even though Rachel's going through this stuff, she's going through this stuff for, I don't want to say a legitimate reason, but I also hold a little closer to traditional values than normal things. So your your explanation of this is why this is happening, I understood, because in preaching school, when in marriage counseling, they would tell you you can't lay the blame on just one foot. You if you have they say it doesn't take two to tango, it takes three. You know, you have a part in that adultery as well, because you weren't providing something. Right. You know, whether it's you're the man, whether you're the woman, it doesn't matter. Something was lacking, and you didn't do the due diligence to fix it. And so the Rachel aspect, something was lacking, and the lacking was this giant hole that was shaped like her child. That
and her own identity. But yeah.
Yes. But in Incidents of the House, you got this kid being terrified, and her mom has no redemptive qualities whatsoever. Not one thing. I'm like, oh, good on you, girl. No, you come in and admit to your child while you think she's sleeping. Oh, yeah, I've been banging this dude. I've been banging him. Your dad is such a wonderful person, and I'm just going behind. Like, if he's so wonderful, what are you doing? And she never says, well, I did it because of this. You did it because you were having fun. Like that is one of those things where I appreciate a character that can make mistakes. And that's one of the things. You started Finn on a mistake. You lead Rachel into, I don't know if you want to classify them as mistakes, but they're things that I'm sure she gets to a certain point, she'll look back on and be like, that's probably not the best thing I ever did. You know, one of those things. But that's what's great, is there's a character that has a purpose, has a human reason for doing something, versus someone that's kind of
the human aspect of it is what locks me into a story. So like in Incidents Around the House, like you could look at the mom character and be like, wow, you piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like, why are you doing that?
I would have thought the same thing if it had been the dad too. It wasn't like I was like, it's because she's the mom.
No, I'm with you on that. But like, it's also the same kind of thing with Rachel, where it's like, no, you kind of get locked into a life mode that like you're not necessarily even aware of until you're trapped inside of it. You know what I mean? And you're already headed down this path. And then by the time you start to question, like, are things okay? Like, I'm so confused. I don't know what to do. Like, it's a very human thing to battle with that kind of moral dilemma. And some people are going to, quote, do the right thing and have those difficult conversations and go to therapy and whatnot. But some people are not. And that's why I'm like, I love horror, because you can play with the idea of what is morality and who are we as humans. You know, what mistakes do we make that are horrifying, and what do we make that are redemptive and you know, actually save sort of the story overall in the end. But yeah, I've learned that not necessarily everyone loves that. But that might be why Josh Mallerman's Incidents Around the House and I share like the same Goodreads rating.
Well,
I frequently go there and compare the two, because I'm like, this is honestly one of the best books that I've read in the past 5 to 10 years.
Oh,
and when I
it's very,
I'm like,
very out of the box.
I love it. I love it so much. I recommend it to everyone. He is a mastermind.
So speaking of children that have experienced horrifying things, although hopefully yours aren't fuzzy.
Oh gosh.
Oh no, she's got fuzzy things. Let's talk about your fuzzy things. That doesn't sound right. I should have said that out loud. You should have said it. It would have been better.
I've got all kinds of things. In fact, as I was thinking about like, okay, how am I going to succinctly describe this as we have this conversation today, as we chit chat, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to have to run through it. And if I have to run backwards, I'll run backwards. If I have to, you know, like, so it'll be all over the place.
Everybody knows you start a story at the end and then go back to the beginning.
This will be just like all over the place for sure. But yeah, I mean, do you want me to just like start running?
I'll jump into it. Wherever you want to start.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, so this was, we moved around so many times when I was growing up, because my dad, again, was a pastor. And my dad was a bit of like a rebel rouser. I will be very interested to hear y'all's take and like your analysis, because I know y'all are quasi skeptics too, and maybe it'll like dispel all of this craziness. But I generally don't talk about how weird the stuff was after we ended up getting kicked out of a couple of locations and then landing in Pennsylvania, like on the Appalachian portion of Pennsylvania, and having this whole scenario unfold. So please, like, get ready to provide your feedback, because I'm open to that. But
it's fake. No.
Yeah, I know. Like, you're automatically like, no.
She
Not
lies.
there. Haunted house? That's BS. No, but like, I had moved so many times as a child. Like I said, overall, I stopped counting at 25. Like, that is how many times we moved or I moved, and like it just was insane. We moved a lot. Mostly again through Appalachia. But when we got to Pennsylvania, we ended up staying there for about 4 years. So we moved in August of 2001. You know, right before everything in the United States got really fun. Like, the worst time. Yeah, the worst time to move in. But
Well, you talking about, I don't remember anything bad.
yeah,
happening in 2001.
nothing happened.
Nothing, nothing bad happened.
It was great. 2001 was a great year.
It was the best fourth grade I've ever had.
Oh my gosh, fourth grade, goodness. I had skipped a grade because I was homeschooled at one point.
Way to go.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I didn't know how to FOIL when I got to high school. Like, you know, algebra, first, outer, inner, left. I'd never even heard the term. So that's what
To be
homeschooling
fair,
did for me.
I went to public school and have a learning disability in math. So what you just said, never heard of it. Not one. Today is
All right,
the first
cool. Because I still can't quite get. Anyways, it's fine.
No,
we're on
you
the
said
same-
foil,
this
and I was
why
like, is that like a hair?
liberal arts fans. But in any case,
That's what I think it is.
so I was just beginning high school, and a very young high schooler at that. I really should have still been in middle school, based on my age at the time. But we moved there. I was getting ready for high school, etc. The very first night we were in this home, which was a parsonage because my dad was a pastor. So they always had a house like ready for us to go. That's where we lived. We never owned a home. We always rented or lived in the parsonage. The very first night, I remember like sleeping on an air mattress, laying on the floor, and like looking out the hallway of my bedroom and going like, I feel wrong. Like, something here just feels really, really wrong, really off. And I reminded myself that, like, Allison, you've moved a bajillion times. Every time you move, something feels off. Because you're just not used to that space. Like, this is totally normal. So I tried to ignore it. I tried to, like, do my damnedest over the next several years to be like, no, this is totally normal. I am imagining things. This is crazy. But we had such incredible like poltergeist activity that there was no explanation for it that anyone was ever able to provide. So
Well, now hold on. Let me ask. In terms of poltergeist, are you sure? Because there is, I don't know if it's combative thoughts on whether poltergeist is just like a person that wants to, I don't mean this in like a weird way, but a person that wants to deny the religiosity of hauntings and put it on it's just a loud, angry ghost versus someone that wants religiosity. I think they're two different things, but I'm interested to hear the things that you went through, because there's a certain pattern that we have noticed in our show, whether it be from a Pentecostal perspective, a Catholic perspective, a Protestant, whatever, that certain things show up. So I'm interested in hearing what you've got.
Yeah, I mean, so one of the things that the reason why I call it poltergeist activity, and there was other activity that like I can't, you know, we'll go through and figure out like kind of what we think. I don't know that I have a name for it, but I am really interested in the idea that poltergeists, oftentimes it seems like that behavior doesn't necessarily have a root in logic and seems to emanate from a person, particularly from young, like pubescent girls.
That's the theory.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if it was me. I don't know if it was something residual. I don't know if maybe it was like all in our heads or what was going on.
How old were you?
I was when we moved into that
house.
When we moved into that house, I think I had just turned 13. Yeah,
that's about I think 13 to 16 is about the time
Mm-hmm.
frame they give.
Exactly, and I didn't know that at the time. Thank God, or I probably would have been. Like
I would have told my parents, I control the spirits. Right? Give me my candy.
Right, exactly. The unfortunate thing is that I ended up thinking like they're coming after me. Whereas like later,
well, given your background.
Yeah, later in life, I'm like, well, maybe it was actually coming from me, or maybe like I just provided the fuel for that to kind of like manifest. I don't know, right? Like I kind of align with like, I don't know if you know who Johnny Alteni is. Like he's pretty prominent in the paranormal field. Part of a podcast as well. It's called What's Up Weirdo. But anyways, one of his big things is to always say like, I don't claim to know or believe in anything. I think things or I speculate things, but I am very hesitant to say I know or like I believe in one thing, because there's so much that like you legitimately just have no idea about. And it's okay to speculate. It's okay to like lean towards a theory or not. Anyways, all of that is to say, I think we had poltergeist.
Therefore you are. Oh, that's what. Okay.
Well, we were there. But so like, yeah, I mean, straight away, like very first night, this was a weird space. Even though I tried to like calm myself down, etc. But right after 9/11, like probably within less than a week, I woke up one evening. It was probably like 1 or 2 in the morning, and I saw a shadow person like in the corner of my room. What was crazy about it was I didn't have sleep paralysis. Like I could move, I could roll, I could turn. I'd never had a history of sleep paralysis. I don't think I was dreaming. Like it was very real. I know the difference between dreaming and not, but like I think key to that experience was, number one, I was not scared. Like, it was not a scary feeling. Number two, this was a very specific sort of shadow person. So very like long torso, very like gangly arms. Even at the time, I was like, that. You'll have a hound.
Yes.
I guess
So Max, yeah, one is a hound, the other is a pit bull. Max, shut up! If you're not gonna bite him, stop using your voice.
I don't know if you can hear, but my hound immediately like went off.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Hold on.
Not
You
at
keep
all.
telling your story. I'm gonna mute our mic while he's freaking out.
Sure, yeah. So hopefully now you're gonna hear my hound going off. But yeah, I woke up and there was the outline of what was clearly an adolescent boy standing by my bed, and what was so peculiar was there was no fear associated with that particular vision, whatever you want to call it, right? Like that appearance, that apparition. But even
Did it have a
then,
hat?
what was that?
Did it have a hat? That
No,
is something
it
we've
was
run
not the
into.
Hat Man. No,
Not a hat
He
man.
usually
Not the
brings
Hat
it
Man.
through.
no, it was like just
I
truly
don't know
a
what
shadow person.
she could have had some Benadryl that night. You don't know what the allergies were.
Have you seen the Hat Man?
I have not.
No, we
No.
haven't seen. She's only seen an old woman hanging out at our kitchen for some reason,
No, in
Okay.
our bedroom when Oliver was born.
or
Yeah.
in our bedroom when Oliver was born.
And that
I want to
weird
hear all
thing that I
about this
saw
later.
standing over him.
We have a lot of weirdness happen. In one of our episodes, I can't remember which one it is, but I put a video up that she made. Something in the garage was knocking, and my oldest son Ryan told her he thought I was upstairs in our garage. I was at work.
I
And
was
so-
like, Alex not here.
Yeah, so she went upstairs. It stopped knocking. She leaves, and it starts knocking again.
Goodness.
So,
it was
we
like,
had
please
some-
notice me. Hello.
Yes.
Hi.
Right?
Yeah.
Why aren't you up here today?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so that's kind of how I felt like this particular spirit was, or whatever the hell was going on. Like, I don't know what it was. I don't want to like put a label on it, but like it went out of its way to make sure that we knew it was there. So like I said, I left off with the shadow person, but like it was the kind of thing where that would happen on the regular. And throughout the entire time we lived there, which again was about 4 years, it was the longest we stayed in any place. I would hear like walking around my entire bed, including behind my head, which was up against a wall. I would feel someone stroking my brow like you would with a child to like help them go to sleep, but it would be like right up against my hairline, like through my forehead. So I started to sleep with the sheets over top of my head, like pinned down. To the point, this lasted long enough that like I only disposed of that habit probably within the past 5 years. My ex-husband was literally like, why do you sleep like that? And it did not occur to me until then that it was like, oh, that's why.
Oh my god.
You know? Are they seeing ghosts?
No, children just keep
Everybody's
coming
just
in
in
and
and
out,
out.
which is why we had the headphones.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
you
you're
don't have to
good.
apologize. Is Jacob coming in too?
I was just coming in to get my
Oh, I came here to wash my hands and get a drink.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go
you're
for it, man.
fine.
Get yourself a drink. Goodness gracious. So sorry, Allison.
Don't apologize. Do not apologize. Goodness. No, this
I'll
is
do what
great.
I want.
From shoveling.
Well, I mean, you can do what you want, but I don't give a.
what are
you know
y'all
what.
hammering? Oh.
They're
man,
putting in a pool.
Y'all are really working hard.
Yeah.
They're
In ground?
digging post. No, I don't think so. I think it's up
Awesome.
above ground, but they're
Yeah.
apparently digging post holes.
I was about to
Whatever.
say, y'all are spending a ton of money.
Like that they
Oh.
use on the baseball
Oh,
field to-
they're
they're
making it
anchoring
level.
into the okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
I can see
They're-
why
they're-
they're stoked.
Oh yeah. We do
Yeah.
this every year, but this time we've got a much bigger pool.
Yeah. It's a new
Yeah.
pool.
Oh gosh, that's exciting. But okay, where was I? So
You slept with a blanket over your head.
yes, thank you. Yeah, so I would sleep like with the sheets pinned down over my head because it was constantly like this pacing around and then like caressing my forehead, which was just super freaking weird. Like nobody wants that. And the other big thing was like people would frequently see things like out the corner of their eye in terms of like people darting in and out of rooms. We had one of those weird houses that was like multi-level, like a Brady Bunch sort of situation. So like you'd go down a step and then there'd be like a half level and then down and then half and then yeah. It was just super weird. So you would walk out into the hallway and you would hear music. Like old time, it sounded like there was a radio playing. It was either old time music or conversations happening or something like that. You could never figure out where it was coming from. You could wander around that house all day long and never find the source of it. in my sister's room, which she was in college, so she only came every so often, there was a laundry chute. And that laundry chute, I know, right? As soon as you say it, you're like, no.
Yes.
Wait. But
Ugh.
like, are we talking like a decent sized laundry chute or the kind that the gremlin shoved Gizmo down?
No, like you could, well, it depends on your interpretation. Like if I had wanted to like launch myself through this laundry chute, I absolutely could have, right?
That's a fun laundry chute. You guys were like, oh, that's creepy. I'm like, heck yes, get me in there.
Well, okay, so here's the thing is that it had been out of commission since like the 70s. Like they had locked it off. It was not working. Nobody was supposed to use it, but like they
I'd
still
put
had
it
the
to work.
doors for it. And like in her room, that door could technically swing open. Okay, well, they nailed it shut initially. And then while she was there one day, it came open. And she was like, okay.
Nail and all?
Yeah. Nail and all. Yes. But
That
I
is
mean,
so scary.
if you're being realistic, like if they'd had that nailed shut for a while, it could have loosened in its hole, right? And come back out. So she tried shutting it down.
If you have people screwing with it, otherwise it should just be fastened. I'm going to give you that's a ghost one. That's a point in the ghost.
Okay, well, thank you. I already have one. Yeah. So she was like, okay, maybe it blew open from like the gust. Because again, it like the reason why they had shut it down was because there was like apparently like a break in the little, I don't know, whatever. It didn't slide down correctly. So there could have been a gust coming in or whatever. Okay, so she just like shut it again, tried to keep it closed. It would come back open all the time. And in fact, like at one point, she had moved her bed from that house down to an apartment she got to the college that she was nearby, which was in Georgia. So she was just,
let's go to another haunted place.
Right.
Exactly, right? So she was just sleeping on a mattress, and that mattress was like up against the wall where this freaking door was. And she woke up and it would constantly be open again. Like just sling right back open.
Ooh.
How often would it only happen when she was there, or would it
Only
happen when she
happened
wasn't?
She was there.
That's
It
point two
only-
for the ghost. That's point two for the ghost.
Yeah, no, there was never a time where we had an issue with that door unless she was home. But I think the real kicker for me when I was a teenager was that we duct taped that shut because my sister started to really freak out about it when she got back from Georgia and started going to Youngstown State University. We duct taped it shut, like hardcore, because she was freaking out. It ripped open. It ripped apart the duct tape and slammed against the wall in the middle of the night. And she was laying under it and saw
I
it.
would never come back.
That's it.
Yeah.
Saying, no.
Right.
Boom.
Yeah.
Although, why just when she's there? That's so weird. Like,
I
it's
think
like,
it was
oh, my
wanting to
friend's
say
home.
hi.
Yeah,
Like-
my friend's home, man.
Right?
Yeah.
Did she? I guess it'd be. She'd be at this point. Was she too old to actually have like spent significant time in the house?
Oh yeah, no, she was already in college. My sister's almost 9 years older than me, so she never really lived in the house beyond when she would come home from college, or there was like that 6-month period right at the end where she was going to grad school in Ohio and could commute from there to save money. But yeah, that was not her residence, like ever. Yeah.
Did she? Do you know if she ever had like an imaginary friend growing up?
No, actually, the
Did you?
only times that Jamie, my sister, she'd be okay with me mentioning her name. The only times that Jamie really had like any supernatural quote unquote experiences seem to have been within proximity of my mom. Take that for what you will. Like
mom
she's
must be very
seen a
terrifying.
lot of shadow people. But beyond that, yeah, not super like woo-woo on that front. But so that was another thing that happened upstairs. A big thing that I bring up. Like I said, there were so many little things that it's hard to do it like congruently, like, you know, with
you just tell. We go place by place if you want. I mean, it sounds like it wasn't just this spot.
Nope. No. Yeah. Well, I mean, if we want to focus in on my bedroom, just to make it a little simpler, rather than going through the whole house and trying to do it timeline wise, my bedroom. So there were the shadow people. There were the noises that you would hear. There was the touching, the brushing, all of that stuff, the footsteps.
Now, when you said the footsteps, I'm sorry. When you said the footsteps went behind your headboard, even though your headboard was against the wall, or at least your head was against the wall, did it sound like there was, like it had somehow made space?
Yeah.
Or did it sound like it was in the wall? So it sounded like there was space.
It sounded
between
like there was space behind me. Yeah. Which is really weird.
I was about to say, that's got to be such an auditorial little, like, what is happening kind of thing.
It got so bad that I ended up starting to sleep with earbuds too, because I just like couldn't handle like listening to that all night. But I
think I would sleep outside where, okay, you're going to snap a twig, but I ain't
We're
going to hear
gonna
the grass move.
We're gonna get there. I'll just focus on the room. We'll get there. I promise you. So it started happening where my alarm clock, which was like your standard like electric alarm clock, would go off at like, it was almost always 3:13 in the morning. And that was even when it was unplugged, it would start going off. And so sometimes I thought it was so real, like it was what was like meant to wake me up, that I would go ahead and I would start taking a shower. And my mom would bust through the bathroom door and be like, "What are you doing? It is the middle of the night. Why are you taking a shower?" And I would be so like disoriented that it was like, "No, my alarm went off. I swear, like this is a thing." So I switched it out and I went to my radio alarm clock, like a completely different device. I would wake up to Coldplay, FYI, if that dates me. I had like Coldplay CD.
I'm so sorry.
I know. I was an interesting.
Terrible way to wake up. Terrible way to wake up. That's like hearing someone say, "You want to listen to Boston today?" No.
Viva La Vida greeted me many a morning, but it would also go off just immediately in the middle of the night, between like 2 and 3 in the morning, somewhere in there. And it was also completely different outlets. So you can't say like it was just a faulty outlet that was making it happen. My alarm, beyond my alarm, my phone also started to go off. It started to ring. It would only ring in my room. And I'd pick it up eventually, because I was so like tired of it going off, and it would be nothing but static on the other end. You couldn't understand anything at all. It was just static. I started to unplug it from the wall, both the electric side and like the actual physical phone cable, because this was back in ye olden days. It still did it. It still would ring. Unplugged from everything. I have no explanation for that. That is crazy.
Oh, you know what? 4, because we're taking the extra space too. That's 4 for the ghost. Now
you're like keeping a tally.
Oh yeah. No, because some of this stuff, like we've had one person besides the paranormal team that we interview every once in a while. We've had one person that we've interviewed.
Can I be in on the next chat?
Yeah. I think they'd be fine.
That'd be awesome.
I think they're closer to you than they are us. They're it's Berkeley Paranormal.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. They probably are really close to me.
They do events in Pennsylvania, like Kim's Crypt and stuff, where they have like a year-round haunted house thing going. But yeah, no. So we've interviewed them. we've interviewed one dude named Jason that may or may not have been experiencing a ghost. I don't want to say too many harsh things about him, but at times there were some questions we had about whether or not, but so it's cool to have it's cool to have someone that we can like making it sound like there's extra space between the wall and the bed. That is disturbing to me. I don't know why, but like, you haven't moved. How have you done this? Because my bed is right up, and yet it sounds like you're just right there. That's freaky. But it does seem so moving around, and we'll go back to your stories here, but there's just one thing I want to establish. Moving around, has there been something, or was it like this one house seemed to start it?
That's a great question. So, I mean, I certainly felt like I should add that, like, there are a lot of, and this is so cliche, there are a lot of women in my family, because I kind of think that it is probably like a little bit more common with women to have like a little bit of an extra, like, things feel a little here, right? But never before had it been anything that was remotely that obvious, especially like living in the houses I lived in. Like, my grandmother's houses were different. Mm-hmm. I did experiencing like things there, but I mean, the various parsonages we lived in, our apartment in Birmingham, like, there would be slightly unnerving things, but there was nothing that felt like it was intentionally being like, hey, pay attention to me,
except for
this
right here,
first place. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please continue. I'm sorry. I wanted to see, because you had mentioned your sister only having only experiencing some, I can't remember exactly what it was. I know it was only 5 minutes ago, but mine. Yeah, shadow people around your mom.
In proximity to my mom, yeah.
Right. So I was wondering if maybe, because there is a certain aspect where hauntings stick to people.
Right.
And maybe they're right. So maybe they're like, there's a, just a pattern of, okay, this person's been through this. They don't know that this is stuck to them, but maybe like your sister was seeing it. I was wondering if there was a pattern of haunting following you.
Right. I've wondered that about my mom too. But like, my sister,
is she a spooky ookie?
No. She's very religious in terms of still pretty wedded to like a fundamentalist perspective. But I'll say, like, my sister lives with her now and nothing freaky ever happens. Like, it's just a normal house. So, yeah, right. Like, what does that say? That she only ever experienced anything weird around my mom.
Well, that is, unless it was one of those things where, like, she was going through a specifically, I don't know, dark time unbeknownst to either of you, you know, and they were just, because that does seem to happen in stories as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. In terms of other really weird things that happened in my bedroom, because my bedroom was kind of the epicenter of where a lot of things happened, and it's easier to contain those stories. So when I was 16, I specifically remember this because of what happened. When I was 16, I was laying in bed and it was middle of the night. I woke up and there was, I hate to say it, because I think this is 9 times out of 10 so stupid, but there was a freaking orb in the room. Okay, it was a ball of light that I could see that was moving independently. I hate it when people bring up orbs, because 9 times out of 10, if not 9.5, plus times out of 10, that's dust. Or it's a bug or whatever. Like, it's usually not anything. But this was with the bare eye, like a light moving around my room, like a ball of light moving around my room. And I just kind of watched it for a bit, and then it exploded right out. Like it came up in front of, like, hovering over my bed and exploded to the point where I freaked out so bad that I got up out of my bed, ran like mad, like across the front or the first floor, and went into my parents' bedroom. And I didn't even like ask their permission. I didn't try to wake anybody up. I didn't do anything. I dove literally in between the two of them and like snuggled my way up. And they were both like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not going. No, I'm here for the night. 16 years old. And I am staying here tonight.
She was well, not well into your 20s, but decently.
I was like maybe 20, 21.
She went to go see Paranormal Activity, and then when she came home, she woke her dad up and made him sleep in the living room with her with the lights
all
on.
The lights on. I was like, I'm scared. I'm sleeping on this couch. You're sleeping on that one. He was like, are you serious?
Oh,
and there
he did that though.
I used to make my mom sleep on the couch while I was sleeping in my bedroom because I was positive there was like a mummy arm living in my closet, and I was 15.
I mean,
but I think I had watched The Mummy, and so like I had that stage where you're sort of awake but sort of not awake. And I looked over in my closet, and there was just a mummy hand hanging in my closet. And ever since then, I was like, well, you're going to have to sleep on the couch. I'm sorry. I know your relationship with your husband's going real great right now, but you're going to have to get on the couch.
It'll be awesome. This is mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is, come on. I'm going to sleep in my room. You get the couch.
I mean, I think for me, again, because I came up with this very religious atmosphere where demons and angels were always involved, and like, I don't know, my sister was a horror lover, but also like you just get desensitized over time when you come up in a world that's constantly about the end of the world, you know, and demons and angels, and, you know, always worrying about your soul constantly. You do start to like become desensitized. What is more scary than the rapture?
Something or something, you know, like you can't, just anything you can't control.
Right. Right. So it's like, I'm sorry, but a ball of light like popping over my head shouldn't have freaked me out as much as it did, but no joke. It was like, I absolutely cannot handle this. Like I am out. No way.
Yeah.
So eventually I did end up going back into that room, but my aunt came to visit, and she stayed in my bedroom for, I think it was like 3-4 days, something like that, and then left. And that's when the mimic activity started. So I was going through a chest that like she had wanted to be like some sort of marital chest thing. I don't even know, like old school, you put things in it for your household after you get married. I don't know. She wanted me to keep that kind of thing. So I was like putting stuff in there and kind of rearranging my bedroom and everything. She had a very distinct voice, a very distinct accent. It was nothing like anyone else in the household. And I was busy organizing this thing, and I heard her call from the doorway, Allison. And it was so real that I like looked up and was like, yeah. And then I realized, okay, she's not here. She's all the way down in Norfolk, Virginia. There's no one in the doorway. And all I could do was just like drop everything and then go downstairs. And I took a seat on the couch and just kind of sat there stunned. My mom came out of the kitchen, took one look at me and went, you heard her too, didn't you?
That's crazy.
All right, see, Mama's getting in on it.
Right?
Mama's getting it. She said she's the secret villain. Nobody knows. That's the plot twist. She's been like, I've known these ghosts the entire time. I've just been ignoring them. Y'all need to get back on my level.
Maybe, I don't know. She'd probably call it like discernment of the spirit or something like that, that the Holy Spirit gave her insight. I don't know. Something to that effect. That's kind of what she told me every time something creepy happened, was that like there was insight from the Holy Spirit regarding all of this.
My religious upbringing, I'd be like, okay, but first, why the Lord told us not to talk to them? Why would he let me? And I'd be scared of that. I'd be like, I don't trust it. I don't trust it at all. I don't trust it.
Yeah. But the voices kept happening. And not just to me, they happened all across that first floor. So, like, when I ended up going to college in London for a few months, my sister was at home alone and taking a shower again on that first floor where our bedrooms were. She was in the middle of a shower again. While I was in London, I just need to emphasize that. And directly on the other side of the shower curtain, she heard me call her and say, Jamie, and then start laughing.
Oh,
and
nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
She was like, I stayed in that shower until it went cold. Like, I did not care.
The worst would have been if she had looked over and seen an outline of you. I would have been like,
yeah,
get out now.
Right?
I don't even care if you aren't my sister. Get out. Get out.
Exactly.
Well, that wouldn't make much sense. I would want someone that wasn't my sister to especially get out. I don't know what I said there. So sorry.
No, I think I would want anyone to get out, but it's like, especially if I know that like my sister's not even on the same continent. Like,
I wonder what kind of laughter it was.
Yeah.
Because the laughter makes a difference.
Yes.
The thing that eventually drove me out of that room completely was that I came back after being in London for a few months. And
because they're so good at school over there, that's all they need for college.
Yeah, that's totally Allison Gunn.
They've got a world class education.
Allison Gunn didn't need a break from it at all. It was totally that I got educated in that short amount of time. We'll go with that one.
Oh yeah, that's why they're so smart over there. They just need a couple of months.
Right?
But I came home and I decided that even though my room had been kind of creepy before, I was going to like put all that behind me, because what's scarier than being in a pub when a fight breaks out over, the latest football game? You know what I mean? Like in an Irish pub where fists are throwing, what's scarier, right? So I decided like, okay, nothing that I believed before is real. This is totally fine. And I laid down in bed. It was late one night, and I started to read, immediately shut out the lights, and all of a sudden I hear very clearly from the doorway, Allison, look at me. And it was the voice of my dad, and my dad was in South Carolina at a conference. And so I had this moment, because I'm like turned over in bed and the doorway is on the opposite side. I'm like, do I roll over? Do I acknowledge this?
No.
I did, because I was like, I have to know what's there. Like, I couldn't handle not knowing. And I'd heard so many voices and weird stuff in the room, and there'd been nothing there that I was like, maybe not. But when I rolled over, it was just such a deep sense of like, this is immensely messed up. Like, I am not going to put up with this anymore. Like, I got mad that this continued to happen over and over and over again in my room, that I actually never slept in there again. Like, I went downstairs, I slept on the couch, I slept on an air mattress, I eventually slept on like a Rogue mattress we like got from a yard sale, like that kind of thing, but I never slept in that room again. Lo and behold, I had a friend in high school who always made jokes that like the upstairs was haunted. She was from that area. I never understood why she did that. But like that was something that she was very insistent upon. Even when she joked to other people, she was like, I won't sleep in your bedroom. I'm never gonna sleep in your bedroom. And I hadn't told her half the crap that happened in there, but it was like, okay, Tara, whatever. I found out that the prior pastor's son had been home during a like home intrusion, like robbery, and had been in the hallway and got shot in the gut. Again, teenage boy, similar to what I saw in my bedroom.
Right.
The crazy thing was he lived. He survived. He did not die. But it's almost like, did a piece of him, like that teenage self, get left behind because he had the same bedroom as me?
Well,
Like,
there is some ghostly train of thought that severely traumatic events can leave imprints, even if nobody has passed.
Right.
They can leave imprints of what happened.
Yeah.
Sort
Yeah.
of like I'm going to sound like I love to watch Supernatural, but the sort of like an echo. Like they had that one I don't know if you've ever seen the episode, but they had that one episode where this guy kept reliving his death over and over and over again, but you couldn't talk to him. And that's based on a very, I don't want to say real phenomenon because I don't know how real it is, but you know what I mean.
Right,
Like it's
yeah.
based on something out there.
Popular
that is believed.
like theory. I mean, that's
Yeah.
basically the stone tape theory, where it's like some event keeps replaying over and over and over again.
Right.
I think what weirded me out about this one, again, there are so many stories in the house that it's really hard to like encapsulate in one like quick like conversation. But like we would all hear like a basketball bouncing in the basement over and over and over again, and it would stop. Like when you went to the door of the basement, it would stop, and then start again once you started to walk away. So like there were very weird things that felt associated with a young male all through that time, but yet it wasn't a replay of the event. You know what I mean? It wasn't seeing him in the hallway,
Right.
getting shot, like coming to the
He
door.
was legitimately doing something different each time.
Right. It was like independent of us. And so that
Something
does make you
intelligent.
wonder, like, energetically, theoretically, energetically, did he leave like a piece of himself behind when that event happened? I don't know. But it is very, very, very strange.
Is that the only thing that you know about happening there?
Yeah, I mean, it was a parsonage for a very long time. I didn't know until after I came back from London that like it was a popular theory in the immediate area of that town that like it was a haunted house, specifically the upper floor. My friend did not tell me that the reason she would not sleep upstairs was because she knew it was a haunted place. Nobody said anything. I had to really dig for like those answers at all. So I've actually thought about like, I'm going up to Mount Joy, Pennsylvania, both in May and in late July. And I've thought about like, should I like cold visit that parsonage, or would they be like, no, blue-haired weird lady, like quasi-goth lady, get off our lawn? You know what I mean? But I want to know, like, have other people experience, and that again, that's just a short snippet of all of the bizarre things that happened there. But have other people had that happen, specifically in that room, and with those laundry chutes. Those laundry chutes were so freaky, like just so weird. Yeah.
They got dead bodies in them.
Yeah.
They shoved dead bodies
That's what I
down
always
into the
think
field.
about.
That's what it is. That's so. Did your dad ever have anything go on with him?
So Dad talked about, I mean, I won't go into some of the religious stuff because that's his story to tell. There were definitely things that I would consider to be supernatural, paranormal, that like he kind of had experiences with, but again, those are his stories to tell. But the one thing in the house that like related immediately to what my mom and I were experiencing with hearing like mimics, like the mimicking of voices all over the house, was
Also, that is not a good sign.
I mean, I don't know.
No, just from our stories, once you hear a mimic, typically it's not a great sign. It's also been a sign of just someone having fun, but typically it's not.
So that is actually what my dad said at one point. My mom got very upset about how many things were happening in my room. And my mom, being a very religious woman, went to my dad and said, like, I think we need to cleanse Allison's room. Like, we need to address what's happening in her room. And so my dad did this whole thing. He used to have oil and like a specific ritual he would use to like cleanse places, etc. But he came out of the room and he told my mom, whether or not this is true, he said to my mom, like, this, whatever this is, it's just mischievous. Like, it just wants to cause problems, but it's harmless. It doesn't want to bother anybody.
It's a fairy.
Right?
I mean, depends on what kind of fairy, but yeah.
Did you leave out milk?
Some fairies are definitely not just wanting to cause problems.
Right?
Well, look, you ain't got no baby to steal at that point, so, you know.
Yeah.
I assume, I shouldn't assume that, but, you know, typically, I guess not even typically, you may or may not have had a baby to steal, but I'm going to assume you didn't.
No, I had no baby unless they were going to like steal a baby doll out of the basement. Yeah, no, there was no baby to steal.
That's what they were like, you didn't leave out milk, we're going to scare you.
I mean, yes, that might have been
wanted
the
some
issue.
heavy cream.
No milk, no honey, no shiny
Wasn't even
objects.
frozen, nothing. No shiny objects.
It should probably
Didn't
come
even
as
get
no
us a
surprise
garden.
then that like I do routinely like leave out. I have like an altar to like little fae creatures that I'll leave like gifts on and whatnot because I'm like,
Yeah, see? Because you're like, see? It was playing with me. Dad said it was mischievous.
Correct.
They're known.
they
known.
do though. Like I won't go too crazy into this, but stuff goes missing on a regular basis and then will show up in the most bizarre places, like even a year and a half later. Like stuff that you're positive never existed in the house you were living in. One of my daughters lost something that never, ever, ever should have been moved to this house. And it appeared hanging off of like her lamp a year and a half later.
We have an episode on fairies, and ever since that episode, when things go missing, Julia's like, it's fairies. And I'm like, no, it's not. I am more willing to believe in a ghost stealing my crap than
who's to
Tinkerbell.
say it's not all part of the same phenomena. It could all be part of the same phenomena.
We had car keys go missing that we later found in the washing machine.
On top of the clothes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Right, like not within a pocket, not, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And my keys are on a big thing. Like it's not just a little key. It wouldn't have fit in a pocket of anything.
Mm-hmm.
And
At least not of girl pants.
yeah. And it was just chilling in there.
Oh.
Yeah. And
But,
a lot of times, like shiny objects that go missing too. Keys, jewelry, like all that kind of stuff. Anyways, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, she just hasn't got me. I'm not ready to jump on that full on bandwagon. We talk about skinwalkers all the time, and I'm like, stop it, they're not real. And she's like, they're so are. I'm like, oh really? You think someone that has a choice to become any animal they want decides to be a wolf and not a lion or a tiger or a bear? They're gonna go with the
Who says
dog.
they have a choice? Who has a choice? You don't know.
The Navajo say. The Navajo said they have a choice. They're bad witches.
I don't know.
It's the whole thing.
I think it's really interesting to play around with the concept of like what our consciousness puts onto another plane. Because like if you think about it, when people talk about ghosts, right? Like, oh, I saw my grandmother, right? A lot of times they'll say they saw their grandmother in like their best form, right? Like how they remember them. Like I saw my grandma, you know, in her apron holding cookies or something like that. And that's how I knew it was my grandma. But like never, you know, I saw my grandmother on her deathbed, or rarely will you hear something like that. I heard her or I saw her or whatever in her absolute worst condition. Or, you know, you'll hear people talk about seeing Bigfoot and then like Bigfoot just disappearing. It's like, Well, what if whatever energy exists somewhere that we're interacting with, what if it just appears to us in the way that we can best understand? Like that's how it interacts. I don't know. It's an interesting idea that like I play around with a lot.
I'm realizing now how weird it is that I have a paranormal podcast when I don't believe in skinwalkers, fairies, or Bigfoot.
I think that makes sense. Like, because you're asking questions and you're not ready to just be like, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's all that. It's obnoxious when somebody does that. You know,
I'm full on the train of ghosts and demons, but when it comes to other mystical creatures, I'm like, I don't know, man.
That's
Sounds
really
awful,
interesting
Steven
because
Spielberg.
I do not subscribe to the notion of demons. That's really interesting.
Well, just something. I don't even know how to. The word demon as we understand it, I'll say that, because it's also a Greek word, that did
like
not mean what we mean it to.
Right.
Yeah, like a malicious spirit.
Yeah.
Like that I have.
Couldn't you also call fairies the same thing?
Yeah, if I was looking to jump on, I'm not willing to do it, man.
No, but that's the fun thing. That's like the fun thing.
But I need a sense of plausibility inside of my own reality, I guess. If that makes sense. It's not.
Yeah.
Because I also have a hard time with aliens, and plenty of people, and I don't have a hard time. Like, I believe in something that spoke the world into existence, but I have a hard time believing, and not because I don't think it's not possible. I do. I don't think I'm not so arrogant to believe that we are definitely the only living planet in the entire universe. I also worry about things that are normal sciencey, like the whole universe is expanding, and I have the question, into what? Right? I want to know what expanding into what
exactly, right? But that's so. If you take that idea and you apply it to like all of these legends and stories and accounts that millions and millions of people have reported over the entire lifespan of humans, is it that crazy to believe that like perhaps there's science we don't yet understand? Alexander Graham Bell believed that we could speak with quote unquote the other side, or people who had passed on, or really he was talking about energy. But yeah, the telephone seemed just as woo-woo at the time as being able to communicate with that other energy,
That is true. It's one of those things, I think. There's I think I make in my brain I make a distinction between like haunting paranormal stuff and folklore. Like Julia's the first time I ever, and I've lived in this, like, not this area, but the Appalachian area all my life. Never heard if you heard something, no you didn't, until I met her. Never.
Yeah. Like, what are you talking about?
Like I was always like, what are you worried about? Like, what is it? What are you worried about coming? And she'd be like, I don't know, you just don't do it. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Why? I need to know why can't I whistle at night? And
yeah,
who is they? That's what I need. I need the they. And I imagine that it's got a lot to do with Irish folklore.
It may. And here's the other debate that folklorists have all the time. Does a story originate because it's a warning? So in this example, were people initially telling their children to not go out into the woods if they hear a baby or a woman screaming, because they're like, there are mountain cats there, right? Like there are bobcats or whatever, and you'll get torn up. Like, don't
right.
go out. And so that's the story they told them. Or does it begin with them actually believing something, like something actually happened? And then you can take it a step further and say, well, does our belief in something existing out there actually make something happen out there, like the concept of an egregore. I don't know. I can go way far down this weird hole, but like,
That's funny you say, you know, they used that the woman because there's mountain cats. We had a mountain cat show up. No, you
No,
shush.
hold on.
You
The best,
shush.
listen, you can tell your story. The best part of the story was Brian, my oldest, had asked if he could go to Nana's house, which is right next door.
yeah.
He opens the door, comes right back in, shuts the door, and he said, "What the fuck is out there?"
Yeah.
We were like, "What?"
So there's this cat just out there screaming, and it sounds like a woman. And
Absolutely.
my wife,
It's
my
the
wife,
animal lover in me.
my wife said, "I need to go see where it is. It might be caught in a trap." Now in my head, I'm like, "It ain't caught in a trap. It's trying to get laid. Leave it alone. It's like, go away." And
But I
this
couldn't bear the thought of its little foot stuck.
this woman, her
Sometimes
father,
mating though. You don't want to
yeah,
mess with
yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was definitely mating. It was time.
But I had to make sure.
But this woman, her father, and our 12-year-old son Ryan, all in the dark, mind you, went out across our property to go find this cat that was calling in its victims.
violating every Appalachian rule ever.
Armed with a flashlight and a pistol
That
that
we
no
forgot to
no
load.
one knew was unloaded. They
Oh
were
my
unarmed.
gosh.
Going to look for a killer of men.
But I was like, this thing is probably hurt, and we can't just leave it
It
all
was
night.
it
to
was
suffer.
looking to get hurt. That's what it
then
was looking for, a rough time.
We
And
also broke the rule of while we were walking, I was looking in the trees because I was like, if it's a panther by chance, it's gonna be at the trees and it's gonna jump on us.
Which you
So-
know they claim
So-
We-
are not around anymore, but I know too many people who've
Yeah,
seen them that
they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I hear a little one in
It's-
the background.
yeah, that's Jacob Matthew, our son's, not Jacob Matthew, our son Jacob's friend Matthew. Sentences are easy to form.
Right? But yeah, we broke every Appalachian rule.
Whereas the
because
city
I
boy,
thought an animal.
who had to learn these rules from her, closed the door on all of them and stayed inside.
You're like, I didn't need any training. The answer
No, I
was
don't-
hell nah from the start.
You said it's a wild animal? Close the door. Are the dogs in? Close the
Right.
door. Is
Right.
my wife in? Nope. Close the door.
Yeah,
But
and
then
I
it's
think
coming
this
closer. I
is
said, I'm
why
coming around. It's all right.
Oh man.
I think this is why
Goodness.
potentially people like started these stories, but who knows? Like, and again, I always go back to the idea that like, who's to say we're not creating some of this stuff? Like, we're not believing this stuff into existence simply by mass,
Like a tulpa.
Right.
exactly, like an egregore. Yeah,
We had
Right.
a tulpa episode, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
We've done a lot of episodes on a lot of weird things. Some things I'll take seriously. I took the Bigfoot seriously. I did the episode seriously. I just also, if Bigfoot's real, I look at it as the North American ape versus a mythical, like, kind of creature. Like the Loch Ness
Yeah.
Monster. If it's real, it's a plesiosaur, and I'm down for a dinosaur existing. I'm down for
That would
dinosaurs.
be cool.
But
Yeah.
also,
that would
I
be
like
cool.
apes, but also from behind glass or on TV. I ain't trying to have one just running around my woods
Yeah,
pretending
feel
like
like-
it's scared.
just like with aliens, I feel like there are way too many people who have had experiences and too much documentation for it to be wholly false, like entirely no basis for it. And so it does lead me to wonder, like, does it have to do with like dimensions? Because we definitely do not understand that. Ultimately, I always come back to the idea of like, this is just science that is not yet explained. You
At
know?
first, I thought you said, "Does this have to do with dementia?" And I was like,
Oh.
I was like, "Oh, we're hitting that, are we?"
like LSD,
Yeah.
you know.
I saw a
lot of
very
shit.
hairy man out there.
You know?
He's getting closer.
Right?
That's what you don't
know.
want to hear. That hairy man's getting closer every night. Whoa, Marjorie, you might need to hit your medicine a little harder.
Luckily,
please.
that lady told it. It was
Oh,
just
that or
black
you gotta lay
Yeah.
off your moonshine.
on the hair.
Right?
That white lightning
So-
is not treating you well.
So how much of your area have you, or not area, how much of your life has had experiences like what you had in this house?
Well, I would say that was definitely the most extreme period where things were just, it started to happen almost every day. Like there was one thing after, which is why it's hard to like concisely explain it, because there were
Right.
so many instances that it's like, it seems benign in isolation, but given the multitude of experiences, it felt very rare. But I mean, like, throughout my life, there's been a lot of weird things on and off. And I mean, like, even a couple of days ago, there was something really freaky that happened in my house, to the point where I called my partner and was like, where are you? Like, are you home? Like, and this,
That's
I'm
like,
speaking from someone who reads tarot and does seances, but this was so unexpected and so sudden that it was like, I broke out the cinnamon sticks and like, you know, started doing that around the house and using tobacco and blowing, you know, like salt
where's the hot
and
water? We need the hot
Hold
water.
us.
Man. Get the salad tongs.
yeah,
Like you're
yeah.
birthing a baby.
I mean, it was one of those things where it was like, I'm not putting up with this. You better get out. But like, it was so like, I mean, I'm making it sound to be a big deal, but like I was renovating the bathroom and I've been working on it all day long. And I was talking about my partner who was still at his restaurant, and the front door slammed, and I heard boots on the freaking floor, like very distinctive. My girls weren't at home. They were at a sleepover. My dog didn't bark, and he would have barked if it was like a home intruder or something like that. But like the door had been shut. The screen door was closed. So somebody would have had to have opened the screen door, opened the door, the locked door, slammed the screen door behind them, and then shut the door and started walking through, all while I was in the bathroom. And it was so real that I started like talking to this person. And when I didn't get a response, that's when I was like, what the hell? And ran out and checked on it. Now, I will say, like, I think there's a correlation between extreme emotion, because I was feeling some, like, pretty strong emotions in the moment. I was upset about a couple of different things. And activity. I do think there's a correlation there. And there appears to have been one all throughout me growing up. And like I said, with a lot of the women in my family, it seems like that was also the case. So it's not the only, but that house was the weirdest thing ever. And I really want to go back and ask those people, but I fear they would be afraid of the blue-haired lady in vaguely
Not-
You know, that's a very normal
It's
thing
worth a
now.
try.
You know, this is 2026. They have seen way, I don't want to say worse, but you know what I mean? Like, they've seen way more shocking things. A person in our lifetime, our early adulthood, got famous dressed like cotton candy. Now she goes by Nicki Minaj, but we all know she got famous in some rapidly aggressive colors. So you should
rapidly aggressive colors. I love that term. Rapidly aggressive
Lord.
colors. I feel like there are plenty of places where Nicki Minaj would not be welcome on your doorstep. I'm just saying. You know?
this would be one of them, but not because of any. I don't
I'd
want.
be like, girl, come
I don't
on.
want her craziness here.
That's too
Put
much.
Prince on my porch. All right, Prince
don't
is on the porch. That's perfectly fine. She's not a crazy person. Or Prince, he's not a crazy person.
He's also dead.
I mean, he's a.
So,
Yeah.
Which
you
is
know.
also awesome. That's the best guest we've ever had. No offense, Allison. That's the
He'd
best.
be
guest
like,
we've
come
ever
on
had.
in.
Yeah,
I mean, I would
please
also
teach me how
tell
to play
Prince
these
to come
things.
in.
That I would like very much to learn how to play Party Man. Very much.
Listen, had I walked out here and the slamming of the door and the boot steps and whatnot. If that was Prince standing in the middle of my living room, I would have been like, game on. This is amazing.
Yep.
This is awesome. The
Yep,
fact that
the
it was
best
no
seance
one
I accidentally
was
did.
what more like very, very disturbing. Yeah.
You should have just pretended it was Prince. Would have made you feel
Right.
better.
Should have.
Probably would have made the ghost feel better about themselves. Oh, she thinks I'm Prince.
This is what it sounds like when doves cry.
Yeah.
You know?
Or they would have been horribly offended because they're massively racist. So they've been like, oh, no.
Well,
How
either way.
dare you?
Either way.
He's got a bad lineage, you know. I don't want to be associated. I made him British because that's what I think when I
That
hear
made you
racism.
feel
Just-
more frightened.
just-
Yeah.
British aristocracy. That's what it is. Yes, yes. That's
Makes
my
sense.
way.
Yeah.
Well, Allison, this has been a pleasure. What are you moving on to next? You've got your book out. You have plans, I assume.
Yeah. So Hive Mind is the next book that is going to come out. It will be probably the beginning of 2027. I just saw the early concepts of a cover, so I'm very excited about that. I think it's going to look amazing. But it's basically
I also think it looks amazing. I haven't seen it yet, but
Yeah, I was gonna say, you don't know what you're talking about.
It's the most amazing cover.
I have the inside.
I knew before.
So, it's about sort of this epic like influencer on the dark side of horror, who is married to an extremely controlling manager, and he wakes up one day and she's been brutally murdered and is beside him in the middle of a cabin in the middle of the Appalachian woods. And so there's no denying his link to the crime at all. He begins to be prosecuted for it. 2 journalists are brought in by his family to be kind of these spin doctors. So as they are trying to manipulate the story to make him seem more sympathetic, they began kind of following down this really effed up hole of all of
Really
these
unsympathetic
people's
things.
Right.
lives. Yeah. All of these people's like secrets and lives, and get themselves into some very like scary supernatural Appalachian specifically stories that don't go well for anyone involved at all. That's going to be Hive Mind 2027. I'm very excited about that. Also, I have some articles that are probably coming out from my work at Shepherd University. So people should stay tuned to my socials for that. Because in addition to writing fiction about Appalachian folklore and horror, I also write about it in a nonfiction capacity as well. So,
That's right up Julia's alley.
is.
She has recently discovered she likes history if it's involving the area, not so much, world history. She is perfectly fine with repeating your own mistakes on a
No.
global scale.
no, most of what I study is Appalachian folklore and the historic connections there, but I also do mostly like studying Appalachian horror media that talks about how Appalachians are represented alongside folklore. So yeah,
Awesome.
stay tuned. Hopefully we can get that accepted into one of these journals that we're looking at.
Well, if not, you send it to us. We'll read it on air,
Yes.
Thank you.
And-
Yes.
and then it'll be out. And
it'll
and
still be out.
it'll still be out. We got a
That's
lot.
right.
We got at least 200 people that will eventually listen to it.
Yep.
You know what? That's probably just as many people as would read an academic journal. So
Perfect.
you have
Oh
this-
man, now it's an academic journal, so are you going to be using some terms that we're going to need a dictionary for? Because I know there is a difference between academia and layman.
I mean, academics are kind of tools, and I say that being an academic, so potentially, but like if there's ever an instance, I mean, I'm happy to use
We'll
my
just teach
normal
you.
speaking.
We'll be like,
I
we'll
can
send you a
come on
message.
here and do like, the
Yes.
simplified version of it
Yes.
where you don't sound like an ass.
Yes. I'll be like, okay, so we're going to talk about the integrating of cultural significance in the Appalachians between the
Right,
Scots
and
and the
nobody gives a
Irishmen.
damn at that
Yeah,
point.
already I'm done.
Right?
What
You're
we
already
should say
tuned out,
is
yeah.
we're gonna watch how the Irish and the Scottish cultures bang. That's
I can actually create a PowerPoint, an entire presentation that will be more like this is what real people want to hear rather than
right.
this is what needs to be entered into the
Perfect.
journal. But yeah,
But you have to use that tagline: Scots Irish culture bang. That's
Scots,
very.
but what if
that's
it's not
very
Scots
important.
Irish?
No one wants the Dutch Irish. Is that what you? No one asked for that.
No, I
No
mean,
one-
what if it's like Cherokee? Like, there's lots of Appalachian folklore.
Oh well, that's fine.
That's
we'll
true.
just say cultures bang.
Cultures bang.
And
I
then
love that. Let's
Cultures,
do cultures,
cultures bang.
bang. Hashtag cultures bang.
Perfect.
Culture bang 2027. Oh wait, no, you said 2026, didn't you? 2026.
I mean, that's the
festival.
goal for the academic pieces that we're working
And
on.
all sorts of
Right.
different
Timeline
people
is
would come to that
2027.
festival.
Like a big
And that one's locked in.
Yes.
So, yeah. Everyone pay
Uh,
attention
A cultural sexpo.
to that. Oh, also, I have to do a shout out. Like I mentioned to you all earlier, I am the children's librarian at Charlestown Library.
Seems like a weird spot to say that.
No, it's not. Because all of us weirdos who want to do research and all of us book lovers also love libraries. And so please support your local libraries. And if you're in the Eastern Panhandle region, come by Charlestown Library and I'll say hi. So yeah, that's my plug for that. I also do a lot of children's programs, but that is absolutely weird to insert right after talking about sex
Yes.
posts.
It was, what was fun is you said, like that
Oh,
reminded you.
Yeah.
That reminds me, I work at a children's library. I don't know if that should remind you
Well,
that you work at, but hey, whatever works for you, man.
Yeah. So many jokes to be made there that I really shouldn't go.
No, it's okay. We won't get canceled. We run the show.
yeah.
We're independent.
Oh, goodness.
The only time we get canceled is when we're tired of saying things.
No, basically the whole point there is to just be like, hey, support your library and also support West Virginia. And yeah, if you want
I
to
also have to say,
come see me.
I hope that when this eventually takes off, your book career, and you get that first, we're making this into a Netflix TV show, because that's what it ought to be. Or just a TV. Don't let them do the movies. They cut too much stuff out when
Yeah.
it's a movie.
They ruined
Noted. This
Right,
has been a
and-
discussion, by the way, but yeah.
Yes. So TV show, whenever it is, you'd be like, all right, now I need you, it's not in the book, but I need you to add 2 characters. You can kill them if you want, but the husband has to be hilarious and the wife has to be accepting of his
Stunning.
hilarity.
Stunning.
Oh yeah, no, she stunning,
Gorgeous.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, but also sort of reluctant to like his jokes.
Y'all are just thrown into the beginning.
Yeah, just we're the first.
and then just
We're-
killed real quick.
We're the people on the trees. You
Right,
get to
we're the
know us.
first
We're the
deal.
tree people.
Yeah.
We're the tree people.
Makes sense.
Boom, tree people.
That is actually a cool concept. What if influencers, we're podcasters, walk into the forest and then turn up on the other side of nowhere,
Ooh.
pinned to a tree?
And
Yes.
there is her sequel. Look at that. We are awesome, giving her all the
And
break.
found footage. What if you found their footage?
Ooh,
That would be
see,
cool.
that
Yeah.
would be fun.
That would be so
I-
much fun. Somebody write that.
If
You
I had-
write that.
I've got too much going on with this little comic book thing right now.
Check
I'm
that
trying to finish the other part of our episode that is before you.
Mhm.
And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this into 2 parts because it's 2 hours long. And that
Yeah.
way I have a part 1, part 2, and then it gives me way more time to finish because I have 53 minutes of this research left to do, because what I do is it takes way too long to release a weekly episode, reading a book and writing down the information. Someone else has already read this book or heard this story and done something on it. I just have to take the information they've given and distill it in my own way, which is why we have jokes
interspersed. You gotta throw those in.
Every once in a while, there is a fake situation in this story. Everybody knows it's coming. Everybody knows it's coming. There is a
Except
fake,
for me,
except you. I don't know
usually.
why you don't accept it. It's been 4 years we've been doing this
You'll
show.
say things, and I'm like,
I love it.
that doesn't make sense.
7. How long have we been doing
What
this
are you
show?
talking about?
I don't know.
We've been doing. Recently, I came up with Reggie Jackson, the baseball player, who was, I want to say, a captive in one of our Reddit stories. Not actually, but this dude was talking about how his dad got drunk one day and got into a rage and went to the barn. And then I said, and he released Reggie Jackson onto his employees. And Reggie Jackson's an old baseball player from the 70s, 80s, you know, that kind of thing. I don't know anything about baseball. I just knew the idea of someone having Hall of Famer Reggie Jackson locked up in his barn to release in a drunken stupor to attack people was hilarious. And now, so far, he's attacked people. He has struck an old paralyzed man that lived on that was on a porch straight up to the moon, because for some reason this dude saw a paralyzed dude on his porch, and then when he came back like 2 seconds later, there was no dude. So Reggie Jackson had to knock him out, because there was no way to explain that except Reggie Jackson, Hall of Famer, taking a bat because he doesn't like the geriatric.
I mean, it makes sense, like him chucking
Or the
somebody in the
paraplegics.
face because he was such a badass.
Right.
Baseball
Right.
player. That makes sense.
He's the best.
Checks out
Reggie
to me.
Jackson.
Yeah.
Reggie Jackson. Well,
But you also have a lot of other cool ideas that you're working on. You're not getting out of like having to explain doing those. I will remember, and I will continue.
well,
that.
I'll tell you what, I could send you one of the stories if you wanted to read it, if you had time.
Yes, yes, please. Yeah.
All right. I'll send.
Here's the thing.
I'll ask Julia which one she thinks is the best one.
Okay, and then
don't
I
know
can
which
come up
one.
with suggestions on where you might want to send them to too.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you very much for being here. It's been our pleasure and honor. I know Julia was really excited. She hasn't said much, but that's because she asked you before the show the one question she wanted. Do you have anything?
No?
Are you sure? I don't want to seem like I took up the whole show when this was your very excited
No,
guest.
that's good.
All right. All right. Not that I wasn't excited. I was excited that you're an author, but I haven't finished your
Whatever.
book yet. You know what? F off, man. All right.
Now I'm just gonna tell
What's
you
the-
about the book
what's
and
the-
ruin it for you.
Have you ever heard the I told my friends one time, I said the best way to threaten someone is to really hope good things on them. And they were like, what do you mean? And I said, I hope your children are successful in life. Sounds dark, right? Dark.
It sounds like it could be like it could go in a lot of different ways.
Right.
So I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
I hope you make it home safely.
Right. That is
Yeah.
so messed up.
That
Nobody
also
wants
sounds like a threat.
Right?
Oh, I hope you make it home.
It's the way you say it. It's the way
Exactly.
so you, and I always thought that I just think that's kind of funny. Someone
It's always
sending
about the context.
you be
Right.
safe going home now. I sure hope no animals walk into the road.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, how are you going to make that happen? Why do I feel like you threatened me with wild? It's great. I love it.
See,
Well-
you're more than prepared to write spooky stuff, so
Probably I just got the attention span. I've got one book that I was working on that I think I'm dropping. I don't have anywhere else to go with it. It's just a series of
The
spooky
one that
things.
you started like 6 years ago.
That tells you where it is.
Yeah.
I've worked on it interspersely throughout the years, and it's just not. It's not.
I don't think you should let it go. but it's fine. We'll talk about it later.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We can't wait. When you get Hive Mind, will you come back on? You don't have to wait till Hive Mind, obviously, but will you come back on?
Yes, of course. Yeah. Absolutely.
Perfect.
Awesome.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been author Allison Gunn. By the way, love your email. I'm not going to say what it is so you don't get a whole bunch of people, but
you can discover it on my website. It's pretty easy to find. So yeah.
Don't look for it themselves.
Don't look for her website before you invade her privacy.
Literally follow me on every social media site though, please.
Yes, follow her on everything that you can. She probably has a better handle on her socials than we do. We were messaging on Instagram, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't even know we could send messages on there."
Oh my god, that's so funny.
I thought it was just a place to put pictures.
Yeah,
that's the general idea, but yeah. Just a couple of features,
So, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully her stories have scared you because we didn't tell any. So hopefully her stories have thrilled you a little and chilled you a little. Also, very important, because we've had author Allison Gunn on the show, and because she has read the book and identifies mostly with the thing that lives in the Appalachian Mountains and is terrorizing the main characters of the story, Salty Garlic is walking around in an honorary manner looking for your feet. She is looking to lick the soles off of your feet, so please curl your feet up. And with that being said, bye.
Bye.
And end recording. Now that shouldn't hang us up. Hopefully not. If it does, we didn't mean it.